welcome to Patch a Day number 3. This time I'm going to make an FM synthesizer that responds to mouse doodling. For my doodling I'm going to use this thing called LCD, which is in your palette. Incidentally, I think I've pointed this out before, but if you make a new object and call it LCD, it creates an LCD. In case you're like palette challenged and prefer the names of things, the LCD, if I lock my patcher, allows me to draw, and it does all sorts of other things, which of course you can check out in the help patch for LCD. Alt click on the LCD to bring that up. You can do things like send it messages like clear is a pretty obvious one for me right now, which will clear out the LCD. The one thing that it does is it has X and Y positions for your mouse clicking. So I'm going to use that, but just before I do, I'll just point out that there's also an object called mouse state, which is very cool. It gives you your X and Y outputs. If you're also interested in more than just mouse input, you can download something for your I don't think I have it installed here. No, I don't. But yeah, you can have something installed for Wacom tablet, which is much cooler than the mouse. You get the tilt on the X and Y, and you get pressure, and that's really quite a useful controller. So the mouse is pretty limited. It just gives you X and Y and the buttons. So we're going to use these X and Y values, I guess, to control frequency and modulation index. So let's just build our little FM synthesizer down here. We're going to start with a cycle object. We're going to actually need two of these, one for the what would be called the modulator and one for the carrier in this FM thing. We're going to take the frequency of our carrier, which will be this bottom one here, and we're going to multiply that frequency by some value coming from the modulator. So we're going to use this X. We'll have to unpack this first. So we're going to unpack the values coming from LCD into the X and Y. And we're going to, I suppose, just have our modulator be, actually before we do that, I suppose we'll turn it into frequency from MIDI. We're going to imagine we're using MIDI notes here for our X range. Then we're going to multiply for the modulator. I'm just going to multiply that by 2 so that we get all of the harmonics from the of the carrier frequency. Alright, very nice. So actually this is where, in between the M2F and this carrier frequency, is where we're going to put the multiply in. We'll just multiply, give it a floating point argument because we're going to deal with floating point numbers. And we're going to multiply that frequency by the modulator here. And in between multiplying using this modulator here, we're going to have to use another multiplier, this time a signal multiplier because we're coming from the cycle, to create the modulation index, which, like I said, was going to be the second value off this pack. I'll make that wider so I can plug it in here without any overlaps. And then we can stick that right in here. And I can see a problem already. I should have put a tilde on this multiplier because I'm trying to stick a signal into it. These are fine to take floats or signals. Just, you know, yeah, they're cool. And then we're going to put this out through a DAC, through an easy DAC, I guess. Maybe since we're coming straight out of a cycle and I don't want to destroy your ears, in between the cycle and the output, I'll put a point, maybe even quieter, 0.3, to scale the amplitude of that oscillator before it goes out to the DAC, so you don't wake up the neighbors and destroy your eardrums. And once that's done, I think we're kind of done here. Hopefully this makes So when we go up here on the, when we change values on the X axis, we're going to be changing the frequencies. And then when we change this value on this change values on the Y, we're going to be increasing or decreasing the modulation index. Now we're getting quite a lot of aliasing because those are the frequencies that are too high for the DAC to handle. You want to know about aliasing, go check it out on Google. Google is the answer to everything. All right, I'll see you on the next Patch-A-Day.